Okay, so today we are going to be creating a self-portrait. This self-portrait is a rainy day self-portrait, just like our story we listened to, which was the rainy day. Now, our first thing we're going to start with is going to be our umbrella. So we're going to start creating a U shape. And it doesn't have to be a perfect U shape. It's just the letter U. Okay? Once you have your letter U, you're going to think about how are you going to create your umbrella. You can make it just a horizontal line that goes around, or you can make it a little bit more decorative, creating some little letter U's. That's called a scallop. So you made a scallop umbrella. After we've created our scallop, we're going to start to create our body. Now this is going to be a trapezoid. When we talk about the word trapezoid, trapezoid is a slanted rectangle. So I start going 1, 2 diagonals. So I make 2 diagonals. This is going to be my raincoat. I'm going to then make a horizontal line. So I've made myself a trapezoid. Once I've done that, I'm going to start to create my arm. So for my arm, I'm making the letter L. The letter L. Then I'm going to repeat that again, making the letter L. So my arm has shape. Once I have my 2 letter L's, I'm going to close it up with a vertical line. Once I have my arm and my umbrella and my raincoat, I want to have my hand. So I make a circle shape. Making a circle shape. Because I'm going to make this hand hold the umbrella. And I'm going to make a little stick, because the umbrellas have a stick. I'm going to just make a rectangle. To make that rectangle, all I'm adding is 2 vertical lines. So now I have my handle of my umbrella in my hand. So I'm holding that up. You can then think about your raincoat. What details might you want to have? Is your raincoat going to have a pocket? Is your raincoat going to open in the front with a zipper? Or does it have some circle buttons? What kind of raincoat do you have? These are just our little extra details. I want to then make my rain boots. After I have my umbrella, my raincoat, I've added my handle and my arm and my hands. I'm going to then think about my rain boots. I'm going to do that similar to the arm. I'm going to make the letter L. See how I have the letter L? Okay, and it's a little bit of a reverse L. My L is pointing that way instead of that way. Then, what I'm going to do, I'm going to repeat that letter L shape. Okay, so now I'm repeating it. I want to close it up like a shoe, and I'm going to make a curved line, or you could say a U on its side. So now I have 2 rain boots, but I don't have the tread underneath it. So I want to make a rectangle. I make 2 vertical lines and 1 horizontal down there, and that closes up my rectangle. I'm going to do it again. 2 vertical lines and 1 horizontal. Now I have my person. I want to think about my landscape. So I have my person in the foreground. I want to create a horizon line. Now that line can be straight. That line can be like in a zigzag. It can be a little bit wavy because it is ground. It doesn't have to be completely straight because we're making land. This is where my land is going to meet my sky. I want to think about what might be in my background. So my foreground's my person. I make a tree like they had in the story. Now the tree's just a curved line, and we do those bushy cloud shapes, just kind of spirals. I could add some on the land, some grass. In the story, there was little puddles, and we might have some puddles to splash in, just like in the story. We could add some more grass, some flowers. Because when it rains, it helps us grow flowers. We can have some flowers in the background. Then, because I have my land, I'm going to think, because it's supposed to be raining, I'm going to make some clouds. I'm going to then add some little raindrops. I could have some of them dropping into the puddles. Raindrops going different places. And those are just little ovals. I could have raindrops going on my umbrella. I might even, in the story, they had a rainbow. I could add a little rainbow in my background. Those are all fun things to add in our picture. Once I have my picture, I'm going to start to color in. Our first thing we're going to do, we're going to color in our person using our crayons. And we have something cool we're going to use, which is called texture plates. Texture plates give different designs on it. I even have one that has some different ones right here. So it'll make a cool pattern on there. So how we use a texture plate, we don't just put it down on here. We want to place it behind the paper. So you place your texture plate down where it's behind the paper. You're gonna get a crayon. Now, my suggestion when you get a crayon, pick one that doesn't have any of the fabric on it, okay? Then you can take it on its side. And this is really cool how the texture plate works. It allows you to take and rub that texture and create this cool pattern on it. So now I'm creating a spiral pattern on my umbrella. Rubbing it with the texture plate. Now there's a cool spiral pattern. I can think about what kind of pattern design I might want to have on my umbrella holder. Normally they're a darker color, so I'll take a darker color and I'll add some texture on my umbrella. I'm gonna give myself an orange raincoat, and I want it to have this little flowery pattern. Okay, and I just start to rub that flowery pattern onto my raincoat. You may have to move your paper a little bit depending on the size of your texture plate. And that makes some really cool designs on your raincoat and umbrella. I can even change the color up a little bit, maybe right here. I'm gonna have that texture. And I'm gonna give her some pink shoes. And it's gonna have a bubble texture. So I've colored in first my person with crayon, so I've given it emphasis. Once I've colored my person in with a crayon, I'm going to be using, I can take the texture plates away because Texture plates only work with crayons, okay? And they do have to be underneath the paper. Then I'm going to get my watercolors, these are Timber Cakes. It's a type of watercolor. And I thought I got a paintbrush. Remember, I'm only using the bristles of the brush. I'm not stamping it down. I want to make sure I use my water cup, because the water is what makes the paint. So I add water. I'm going to start to paint my sky. I could even go in and start to paint these little puddles. If I add a lot of water and just get a little bit of my black, I can make these clouds gray, because when it's raining, the clouds are gray. Then I'm gonna start to get my rainbow. I'm gonna get my red. I'm gonna get my yellow. I kind of mix it in with that red of it. So it gives that orange. And I get my green. I get my blue. I get my purple, which would be the indigo. And then I can add a little bit more red to it, and that would be that violet if I added a little bit more blue right here. So now I have my rainbow in my sky. I'm going to then look at my tree. Tree is green. I'm going to then get my brown. The other part of the tree is brown. I could think about my flowers. Maybe I have some little red flowers. Add a little bit of yellow. And then I'm going to get my green. So the grass is green. If you want to go back over and add some blue on your little dots, you can. I can then start to color in my person, and wherever the crayon is, it's resist. So I'm adding some different textures, some visual textures in there with my texture plates. So it's an applied texture, and going in with my paint, and notice it kind of repels it a little bit, but it's giving that texture on there, and it's filling in the spaces that don't have the crayon from the texture plates. And then I can add pink.